Today, Jesus in this gospel equates love to obedience. I think it's a very interesting association. Personally, on a personal level, I find obedience to superiors and to people in authority not to be difficult, and I just think that obedience, we need to approach people in authority with compliance. But once again, Jesus' association of obedience to love is very interesting. I'd like to share with you some of the doctrinal teachings. Doctrinal teachings are very important teachings in the church on the issue of obedience. Here are about 4 or 5 of them. The first one, obedience to the commandments implies light in the life of the person. Light. So there, obedience is equated to light. Here's the second one. Jesus' obedience to Mary and Joseph gives us an example of holiness. Now that's interesting. Obedience equals holiness. Here's the third one. Obedience requires the faithful to give due honor to authority. That's interesting. Obedience equals honor. And then finally, and I think the most important, this doctrinal teaching of the church, Mary perfectly embodies obedience to faith. So obedience equals faith. I don't think it's an exaggeration that today in the postmodern world, the whole notion of obedience is in flux. If that is true, then how we love, what we love, and who we love becomes kind of contorted a little bit. Jesus equates love to obedience. Whoever obeys my commandment is the one who loves me, Jesus says. And so why is obedience and perhaps love contorted in the modern world? I think, personally, that it is because today we focus all obedience upon self. And that's where obedience becomes incredibly difficult. It becomes hugely difficult when we cannot obey the directives and the guidance of others. We reject it and we focus only upon obedience to ourselves. It's very easy, I think, to obey our personal wants, our personal hungers, and our personal appetites. It's easy to do that. But most of all, it's very easy to obey our own authority by attesting that we know what is best for ourselves, despite the directives from those who are in genuine authority. There is an analogy about morality, and it says that when the hub of a wheel is missing, the wheel collapses. I think the same thing can be said for authority and for morality. When the hub, the authority, is missing, the wheel collapses. And the hub of the wheel is beautifully exemplified by Jesus' obedience. Jesus obeyed. Mary's obedience, and the obedience of even our own faith leaders, but most of all, to Christ Jesus' obedience to the Father. Jesus says, "The one who loves me obeys my commandments."